Welcome to Sea Level Up. I'm JD Miller.
And I'm Mike Kreissl.
And it's been a minute, Mike. We took a hiatus. I felt like we took 2025 off almost, but we're back at it and excited to be back.
Yeah, we took a full year off, I think, or at least almost a year. And you've been very busy with other projects and things you've been working on. In fact, recently, weren't you in an airport running into some people?
I did. I ran into Bradley Whitford at LaGuardia at a lounge there. He was walking out as I was coming in, and it was just kind of like, whoa. And I saw him earlier on TV doing an interview with the Today Show. And so the fact, ran into him there kind of made sense, but it was still weird. But here's the best part, Mike, is I'm texting my wife going, hey, I ran into Bradley Whitford. No pictures, no proof. I'm like, I didn't get a picture. We just, ships in the night passing.
You know what? I agree with Ann on that. No pictures. It never happened. I did hear this story once that Kate Hudson was once caught at an airport reading a magazine with her on the cover.
Oh, really?
Yes. In a Hudson News.
Oh.
And I heard that from Ernie Hudson. My favorite Ghostbuster.
The unsung Ghostbuster. Oh, man. Well, speaking of actors and movies, we've got a great guest that you're bringing us here today. Talk to me about that, Mike.
Yeah, I've known Jordan for over 26, 27 years at this point. And we used to do acting things together, directing things. And now he is a producer.
Jordan Reinwald, and has a movie that is out right now. You can see it in a lot of different streaming sources. We're going to talk about it during the interview. Inhabitants is his most recent, scared the pants off of you type of movie. It was suspenseful. It was really good. But we're going to dive into a lot behind the scenes. To me, it's very fascinating. I know you've kind of been in this world, at various points in your life, Mike. But to me, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him.
All right, Jordan Reinwald after the break.
Our next guest is a film producer out of St. Louis, Missouri. Most recently, he produced the LA indie film Inhabitants, winning Best Horror Film at the Austin Film Festival. Can be seen on Apple TV, Tubi, Amazon Prime. He's also produced multiple projects with Olympian Jackie Joyner-Kersee, NFL announcer Joe Buck, and Aquaman himself, Jason Momoa. And this summer, he'll be producing a project with Scott Ross, a longtime editor for legendary director Chris Nolan. Please welcome Jordan Reinwald.
Welcome, Jordan.
Hey.
Welcome, Jordan.
Yo.
We have so much we're going to pepper you with here today. We want to pick your brain. I just watched the movie. I've got questions about the nightmares I'm going to have. So, well done. Good job. And I want to start there, start with your movie, and then we want to dive into your career and your experiences. So with the movie Inhabitants, I saw it on Amazon. You're an executive producer. Talk to me about that experience being an executive producer for a film like this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And I might take a little drink of this, little sip of this, whatever's in here. The experience that I got just kept me focused with okay, look, movies they have to be made in 2 weeks sometimes, and that's what we did. And so it's an indie film, and we're just going to go for it. And SAG was on board, and all these people, and then you show up, great weather, LA. But as an executive producer, I'm just there to make sure the money flows in this role. And there's different types of executive producers, but this one, I was feeding the head producer funding and showing up and being there on set. And really the leadership just came from everyone on set. A lot of younger people just kept asking, oh, you've worked with Momoa, Billy Zabka, you've worked with all these other individuals. I was name dropping a little bit just so you feel like you're involved. And it's just at the end of the day, when the guy's about to cut his tongue in the scene, right? And that's it. And you're just this has to go great, or we are going to be here all night. And where's that money going to flow? And, and then Kevin Nealon, the great Kevin Nealon was someone I had to handle that day. And I was his handler. And it's a term of endearment. He shows up in his Tesla and he scratches the side of it in the back gate, and I just calm him down. So I had different roles, like, multi-hyphenate guy. That's who I am, and I don't want to be like, oh, I sat there and did nothing all day and counted money. No, I was involved during, COVID times.
So can you speak to that a little bit more? Because I've been part of some stuff too, and I still don't understand why there's 12 producers on one film or one TV show. And so you're saying some of them are handling the money, raising the money, some of them are handling day-to-day operations. And what else? What else can we expect from different types of producers?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people came and talk about it because they're not on set. They're not doing the production. They're just sitting somewhere else at home. I just felt like there's other opportunities for executive producers to kind of flow with, like, we're having like we had a problem just like on set, like going out to like the middle of like there was an old camp, and how are we going to get lights and all this, just a lot of hands-on. So sometimes even like our head producer, his parents were there and they're in their 60s and they're doing craft services. Now I'm really kind of like dumbing down what indie film really is, but it's like all hands on deck. And so some people are like helping, in ways you wouldn't admit, just like helping with wardrobe and, all the ins and outs of making sure that we don't scratch a floor, at the Airbnb where we're shooting. And, but no, I did a little bit of everything. And I was just like so damn proud of that. Not just to be a guy just sitting pretending, that this is all going to work out. I want to see it work out all the way,
Tell me about going in and how the difficulty. People don't realize the difficulty of a producer going out to get the money to do the ask. It's hard. This isn't an easy thing to do, is it?
No, it's a lot of no's. A lot of people you think that owe you favors. Nobody owes you anything. I figured that one out, and it really was difficult sometimes when you're looking at people you've worked with for 15 years, and they're just like, I really don't believe in the project. I don't know why you're making it. Isn't that indie thing kind of over with? You got a lot of naysayers. And then you find your true aligned partners, strategic partners, whatever you guys want to call it. And you get into a place of a rhythm like, no, these are real actors. This is real. This is a story, and it doesn't have an overtone of we're trying to bring people to Jesus in this. We're actually just trying to tell a story. So you get to the point where you're trying to tell executive producers your money, your ROI. I can't necessarily promise it, but here's what the producers have done, and they have made their money back, and they've made more than their money back. So you're always trying to juggle the right aligned partners, and you find them, and that's what I found.
Knowing you for years, you also have a performance background. You've done a lot of stage work too. Doing a film versus doing the stage is completely different. And JD, you know this as well. You've done a lot of hosting on stage. There's a different type of feel to it, a different kind of gratification by being able to like prep for something, do it that night, and the relief and feeling afterwards of doing it. And that's a great feeling. But with a film, sometimes you're planning something and you're doing it, and it's going to be done in a year, maybe longer. How do you compare those two? What do you like or dislike about the process?
I like the process of everyone better be loose, or you can, the camera doesn't lie. It just doesn't lie. When Nealon showed up with two actors he's never met before, we rehearsed. You're like, holy crap, I hope they have some real chops. And they do. They've already proven themselves in so many other movies, so many other shows. In theater, yeah, they're great seasoned actors of stage. That's where some of the greats come from. And they're going to show up, but it's also like, it's live. I get it. But then the cameras can turn off in film. But a lot of people think that in film, you can just keep screwing up. You can't. This isn't a Martin Scorsese budget, of 60 takes. That's, I've heard that. But when I watched Jason Momoa on set in Netflix's Sweet Girl, we're on set in Pittsburgh. I'm a VIP there. Literally, he brings us in to watch him jump into a tank of water 2 or 3 times. And, they got it. They better effing move on. So there's not, even Netflix is like, please move on. He jumped. We get it.
What is more difficult or what's worse? Dealing with funders or actors?
Oh man, funders throughout the whole process, because they're asking where are my K1s, where's everything, And the actors, they just move on to the next project. Let's just be honest, And if they want to be involved in press, great. If they don't, it's because their managers, talent, whoever they are, talent, they just don't want them involved at that level. They have the next thing to go to. So funders, though, are there forever. When I'm doing my taxes right now, it's just like I'm living with this movie forever. As long as it keeps making money in New Zealand and Australia and Europe now, that's on me and on the funders, the other funders. Yeah. Actors just move on.
Well, with that, like, how do you find a project or identify a project that is worth your time? Because these things take a lot of energy. It's very stressful. You're raising money to do it. It's a baby that you're going to have for like the next couple of years. How do you pick?
You pick the one that your mom doesn't want to watch. And that's what happened. My mom said, literally, I want nothing to do with this. She said I was going to go to HELL hockey sticks, And I said, great, that's the one. That's the one that pissed her off. And there's going to be people that are going to enjoy it. And so Mike knows my mom, JD, and it's like, she's just like, that's who she is. I can't change her. But I pick it because the director was so passionate, and he's a USC director, and he has all of his USC friends. This is where my eyes bug out, like Paul Giamatti. And I'm like, wait, you have all these USC people, and they are the real deal. Because I've been hanging out with some semi-real deal people with like other directors and all that. A-Talent, though. I've been working out with A-Talent. But I'm like, holy crow, this is it. This is a perfect storm, and they're ready to do it. And they've worked with other great people out there in California. So it was like a no-brainer for me. But when I'm choosing, looking at projects, I would like to personally like the script. I like to know that I like it, and then convince my wife that she's going to do this with me, sort of thing, and help move the money. Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while now. How have you seen yourself evolve as a leader? Because as a producer in a movie, you're a head honcho there. You're leading. How have you seen your leadership style change and evolve?
Yeah, when I started out, actually, Mike and I were in Chicago working at TP&R Casting, and at different times we're both interning, and you are doing the grunt work, and yet they're trying to enable you, and you see that leadership. There's a man named Matt Miller who is like our mentor, and Matt is like that kind of guy who he just gives off the love that he really wants you to do well. And there's other people who don't, and you just have to be cool about it, And so as I've grown from like doing that kind of like labor work into then doing production, then you're like, okay, it's time to step up and be a leader. And you have all like 10, 20, 30 people underneath you, in the sense of they're all looking at you with 60 eyeballs. This is it. I'm trained for this, I mean, I've been to Africa, India, Iceland, all over Europe, doing video, doing work, working with these individuals. I'm like, sometime or another, you either pull up your bootstraps or you don't. And that's where I've just been like I like to really get in the mud, get dirty. That's always helped me as a leader.
Lead by example, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're a St. Louis guy, and there are many people in the biz that have actually come from St. Louis: John Goodman, John Hamm, Jenna Fisher, Nikki Glazer. Since you did a horror movie, I assume your favorite is Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, yes. What high school did you go to? I know that's probably all over the world. They say that, but in St. Louis, that's all we got. That and ravioli. That's
the fried ravioli.
Fried ravioli, yeah. Vincent Price went to MICDS, is my point. He went to the high school MICDS, Mary Institute, whatever. Nobody famous has come out of my high school, so I whatever. No, but you're right. That's Vincent Price is by far my reason. He's the horror specialist. God bless him, wherever you are. Yeah.
Now, you started as an actor, and talk to me. You went to school in London? Talk to me about that.
Well, then I went to London after, again, Mike and I went to Drake University. We're in their program. And I think Mike would attest to this. Wonderful relationships, friendships, all that come out of a school, like an undergrad program. But do the teachers really, really every day know what's going on Broadway, the West End? Obviously not. and I had to get out of there. Like Mike went to NIT, right? NTI, excuse me, NTI on the East Coast. I went to London and I auditioned, and I went to where John Lithgow and all these other, Brian Cox type characters came out of. I wanted to go to the real deal, and I got in the middle of it. It was an amazing program, and I have several friends who've done very well internationally, and I've kept up with every last one of them. I sound like I'm doing a grocery list here, but it's like, it's so long ago, and yet today I'm just talking to a friend from that program. She's still in New Jersey, and she's doing Shakespeare. She actually developed a Shakespeare festival, and she wants to go to Edinburgh, and that's what feeds me, is that I'm not caught up in like all these bucket lists. There are people I know who are effing doing it, man. They're out there working their buns off, and I love those people from Lambda. Love them. Yeah. That answer the question? I keep giving you guys like monologues,
No, I love it. I love it.
We're cutting all this, by the way.
I know you. I would too.
I do have a question for you regarding streaming versus going to the movie theater, because this is a big thing right now. Even movie stars are talking about it because it's their income, but there are people like Tom Cruise that are very, very passionate about people going to the movies still, like that experience of going to the movies. I don't know if you saw, he was interviewed and he was like eating popcorn in a really strange way, and he's like throwing it in his face, and everyone was like, what is wrong with him? And he was super excited about his movie, but he says he still loves that experience. It makes him feel like a kid going to a movie, being in a theater, the community of watching something together, laughing together, being shocked together. Mm-hmm. Now we're all isolated. We're watching things from home. My question, I guess, is why does Tom Cruise eat popcorn that way?
Did you know Tom Cruise went to elementary school here in St. Louis? So what elementary school did he go to? I still don't know, but he
Vincent
lived here.
Price Elementary.
That's true. I swear he was 4 or 5 years old. We don't have much in St. Louis. Again, fried ravioli. I'm so bad. Everyone, I'm the greatest thing that ever happened out of St. Louis besides John Hamm and John Goodman. Okay. No, movies. I love movies. JD, do you love movies? Are you?
I love movies. Now, I'll even twist the question a little bit more for you, Jordan. Is it, we all have a good movie experience, right? Like Mike was saying, in the movie theater, like Tom Cruise likes. But with the streaming services, we can actually consume a lot more content a lot quicker. Is that the allure? What's the allure for you in your experience as in film and screen?
It's utterly depressing to just be on my remote and just look at all. It's sad to call it content now, and I think even heard that word on Smartless. Those guys run that podcast. Just how cheapened it all sounds now. Like Harrison Ford would come out with a movie back in the day. We're all kids, and we're like, "This is heaven. This is heaven coming down to earth." Here comes Harrison with his next movie, and he's worth every penny. And now I don't want to ever talk about anybody negatively. It's not going to help me. But some of these stars, I'm not going to the movie theater unless it's like Deadpool and Wolverine. And I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, it was
right? Fun. That's worth my time to go to the cinema. Other films, okay. But I mean, I look at our film Inhabitants, and we had the choice to go to several cities, 6 cities. And we just said, you know what, just go straight to streaming, because that's where we are. The parlance of our times, Big Lebowski. It's like that's where we are. And so when I see all the options, I'm overwhelmed. But I go straight to HBO, or I go to, Netflix. And then you see all the other platforms. They have great stuff. I just can't keep up all the time, So I look to friends like, this new St. Louis, what's it called? The new, oh my God, Jason Bateman show that's coming out. DTF, STL, and I'll watch that just because it's got great actors, and so going to the theater, it has to be like Deadpool, Wolverine.
I sometimes wonder if it's like an attention span thing too.
Yeah.
People don't want to sit down for 2+ hours, and some of these movies that come out are like 3 hours long. Yeah, and that's just.
Is it generational, Mike? Do you think? Because I want to see it on the big screen or on my big TV in my man cave, where my kids are more than happy looking at watching something on their phone, very small. It's a different experience. I think, or different expectation. To me, it's still bigger is better. But for kids it's different, right?
Yeah. And I think people like being able to pause and go get popcorn or go take a break or watch a 30-minute show after they get their kids to bed rather than jump into a 2-hour movie, because then you just are wrecked for the next day because you couldn't just watch something short. Like I do think there's something to that.
Yeah, and I got to see what's her name from The Pit saying "Baby Jane Doe" all the time. That's all my algorithm is Baby Jane Doe. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, Mike's got a load of questions. Jordan, I hope you're ready for this.
Ready.
We would now like to do the famous Lipton questionnaire, adapted from French host Bernard Pivot, and then changed by Je m'appelle, me.
And the fact he put the skull cap on to do the Lipton is great.
What is your favorite word?
Sorry. My favorite word, hellacious.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
Interesting. What is the best film of all time?
There'll Be Blood.
What is the worst film of all time?
Finding Nemo.
Oh, all right.
What is your favorite curse word?
Son of a bitch.
What is the best sandwich?
Philly cheesesteak. What's happening? I'm checking my pulse.
If you are stuck in an elevator for a day with only a pound of spicy hot wings and a triple espresso, do you consume either?
Yes, with a diaper.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Being a lawyer.
What profession would you not like to attempt?
Ditch digging.
And if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You almost made it. I'm the almost guy. That's going to be on my epitaph. Oh,
well done. Well done. And you know, I love the Lipton. That is fantastic. I want to continue our conversation too, because there's so much fun stuff you've worked on. And tell me about Scorch Agencies and the fun stuff you get to do there.
Yeah, oh, gosh. When I got this job, I worked for a man named Chris Bueller. He had Microsoft, LinkedIn, Salesforce, MuleSoft, all these enterprise companies, 25 of them doing all this content marketing. And I popped in. He's like, why'd you call me? And I said, because I do film and I'm doing this film, Inhabitants. And he just like instantly was like, we don't have anything like that. So he made me a position out of nowhere. And I always tell my wife, like, it was an investment to do Inhabitants, but it got me a great job making great content. I hate using that word, but we made like some B2B films. We went all over, like for one particular client, went to Chicago, Houston, New York for a CMO named Grad Khan. And Grad is a very wonderful, eccentric individual. And he wanted to act in his own. I mean, we did a whole production for him, the whole deal. And those kind of B2B performances that come out of like some of these higher up, executives, you're just surprised, and so I got to do some really exciting things like that. And I'm trying to think of like all the reasons why I would work in an agency in St. Louis is because there is no film world here, it's like they pretend here. And I'm going on the record. I have pushed and I have prodded and I've cried. I've been on their podcasts. I've been interviewed here. And they're always asking, why don't we have it? And like Chicago has a scene, New York has a scene, of course. Austin, name everywhere, obviously, Atlanta. But here, you just have to like stay in your little sandbox. And at Scorch, we've just been developing what we think is important, like like two-way QR codes for film and experience for concerts and other events. You know, like my music, of course, is a concert, but like other types of like I don't know, B2B events. Like we went to New York and what was that called? Not MDMC, but an event where you just see a QR code up there and everyone's clicking, and you're like, what does that take me to? It takes me to another world. And I'm being very vague about all this, but the technology is very exciting in the agency world that's trying to connect the film world. So that's why I'm involved at Scorch, to try to connect those dots. Yeah.
So this might be more of a JD question, but it can lead into more questions regarding AI and creativity. And are we looking at a future where nothing that is written or produced is going to actually come from humans completely anymore?
So I'll give you my take, and I'd love to get your take on this, Jordan.
Yeah.
Those who don't know, I did write a book called Ringmaster of AI, and I've got the sequel coming out soon. But my take is this, and here's the biggest challenge when it comes to content. We keep throwing out the term content, right?
Yeah.
I think the bigger challenge is hallucinations when it comes to AI, right? Is AI is going to be, and already is, building stuff off of AI, building stuff of AI, and the originality of things sometimes is going to get dumbed down. You know, do you remember the movie Multiplicity with Michael Keaton?
Of course.
Great movie. The last one was just dumb as a box of rocks, right? And it could barely function. And to me, that's where hallucinations will be getting with AI in general when you're dealing with a lot of different content. In your world, talk to me, Jordan, about the future of AI. I mean, there's an AI actress. I forgot, Lily, I think is her name. Where do you see it going? Where are the stumbling blocks that we have to overcome? Or is this a really bad path?
No, I'm aware of what you guys are watching and what you're seeing. It's not just local, but we're seeing a lot of AI creations for lawyers right now, like commercials. They're willing to put themselves out there as human guinea pigs. And I have 3 guinea pigs at home. And the things those poor guinea pigs go through, and those lawyers, though, are slam dunking basketballs and they're skiing and it's crazy. And they're having a lot of fun right now with that. But will an actual talent put themselves through that? Perhaps. I mean, yeah, but in my world, I'm thinking everyone's scared about the Tom Cruise versus Brad Pitt roof video. Yeah, but that's what SAG is for. That's what these unions are for. They're here to protect their actors. It's a great Barnum and Bailey circus. I get it. And I know it's real, but humans have to make this. And I have very good friends here locally who make it, and they're blown away. Like they feel like God right now. I mean, I get videos every day from my buddy Joey. I mean, every day. And he's like blowing his own mind. So he's excited, but where do you put it? I think it's great for a lookbook. I think it's great to pitch, but you still have mega stars. You even have, I mean, was it the guy at the State Farm? Jake, the State Farm guy.
State Farm, yeah.
Is he really going to be replaced? Okay.
I hope not.
I hope not. I mean,
let's get rid of him.
It would be bad for the economy to just do that. But these are just my thoughts.
So, with that, to take that a step further, then, what roles in the television and film industry do you think run the risk of being replaced? Obviously, there's the strike made a point about controlling the creative process, but in every industry something's going to be replaced by AI, right? And a lot of times, if you're looking at the corporate ladder, it's those first 2 rungs are gone because you don't need that entry level. Well, how do you get to that 3rd rung then? Is a challenge in the corporate world. In your world, where do you see AI coming into play?
Well, definitely the background. The individuals out there in the stadium, they don't have 6 fingers anymore, and 4 eyeballs. They're really perfecting that. I mean, would you really want to excuse my French, corral a bunch of humans you don't need and pay all that? No, you just want your front talent. If you want Ice-T or whoever that, talent is to come in and do a car commercial, that's all you need. And then you could just have people outside doing fun stuff in the exterior shots. I'm not thinking big enough right now when I answer that. I don't understand though how we could be so naive after you watch Lord of the Rings back in the early 2000s, late 90s. All those aren't all real orcs. You know, these
They're
aren't.
not.
No, with the droids, this was coming, people. You know, and then if we're just talking about, again, I'm just talking about subjects, you know, and then of course, you know, what they just did in Stranger Things. Thank God for AI if they're using it. You know, I just love that. But Joe Keery is still, you can't AI him on stage and play in his band. Come on. He's got to be also on set. So they're not going to ruin the stars and the mid-level stars, but the bottom background, they might not be involved as much.
It amazes me just looking on the internet and seeing some of these videos for Star Wars movies and Star Wars clips or retold Star Wars stories, and they're like better than any of the newer movies. The storytelling is great. They're taking it based off of certain comic books and they're putting it to life, and they're using the voices of these actors. And I have to imagine that they're being sued at some point, right? As Mark Hamill's going to sue someone for using his voice, correct?
Correct. He's got to give consent. Is that the big word of the last 20 years at least, you know? And he has to. I'm sorry, unions have to protect these people, and they will. They have to. And if they don't, then what are they there for? And that's a strong statement. That's just my thought, you know?
I'd be curious also, because you know AI plays a role in building all of the algorithms. You know, we talked streaming earlier. Where do you see streaming services going? It continues to evolve. It's interesting to me because I look at it. You know, back in the day, I worked at Comcast, and at Comcast, we bundled it all together. You got it in your package. It came in through the tube to your home, and then it just, you know, splintered in every service you had to subscribe to. Now I feel like people are clamoring again. Now you see the Hulu bundles and it's coming together, but there's getting to be Crave has gotten big in Canada, right? And you know, over the last 5 years, and thanks to, you know, Letterkenny and Shoresy and Heated Rivalry and others, where do you see streaming services going?
Well, I look at the bank statement and it's like, oh, Netflix is $20 or $23 a month, and then I have a $1.99 Peacock option. It's all about the value, you know. And so, like when Inhabitants is on Tubies and Plexes and Plutos and all this, okay, that's great, but that's a tier. And then Apple TV, Amazon, those are higher tiers. Did we get on Netflix? That's like going to heaven. No, we have not yet. You know, and the bundles, like you talk about, I understand what you're saying, and people are they're being more enticed, and who will buy Tubi? Maybe I don't. If I was Netflix, I would consider that if it's good for their brand, you know, because got a lot of viewers. Look at the viewers, and so where's it going to go? It better make it easier for us, is all I'm saying. If it gets harder and more difficult to find these new platforms, I mean, I'm already stressed out. You know, it's just too many. But that's a free economy. You know, free world. You know, capitalism is what keeps this thing going, and thank God for it. You know. So I really don't have the answer. I don't know what'll happen next. But if it gets more complicated, we're in trouble. You know, they need to simplify.
Yeah, it is an interesting evolution, especially when you're looking at multi-screen evolution, right? Yes. You know, for these kids, and then the TikTokifying of things, you know, it is baffling to me. I have to ask you, and this is for both you and Mike. You guys have been in this industry or around, you know, this business for a long time. What advice would you give to someone coming out of high school? They want to be in the film industry. They want to act or produce. You know, what advice, now that you know what you know, would you go and give to them?
Well, I would say, from my point of view, I wish I had gone to film school rather than theater school. And I loved my time doing that, but I was not prepared coming out of college with a BFA in acting and theater acting to jump into all these commercial auditions and film auditions, which I did. And I wasn't very good because I just didn't understand it. It's so technical to act on camera. It's so specific and it's so different. And anyone that says, oh, you just bring it down, it's not that at all. It's about angles. It's about thinking places. It's very strategic. We talked to Steph Tovar on one of our podcasts, JD, and he talked a little bit about that. So being that it's so different, I wish I had at least taken some on-camera classes throughout college. So when I came out, I was a more competitive actor for commercials and films in my 20s.
Jordan?
Yeah, like even now, like of course I'm eyeballing how close I am to this camera now, you know, and like I am outside of this interview, I am a bad mother fluffer. Like I'm running around going crazy all the time, and that's like theatrical, you know. I'm just living big, and then when you get in the microscope, like how does Hugh Jackman do everything? How does he do film and stage, and how am I in the palm of his hand? But to get to the answer, the question to the sorry, what you're asking, I wish I also would have gone to film school. I mean, that is like a definite. The fact that I don't know even enough about what like a buddy of mine, Pierce Healy, who DP'd Inhabitants, he went to USC, he's here in St. Louis, but I can go to him and he's so kind when he acts like I'm not stupid. You know, he's just so smart. And I just continue to, though, remember that it's not all about me. There are people who want to help. But if you ask them for help, and, you know, honor them, you don't have to have gone to that school necessarily. It's like the trade schools, right? We're all supposed to go to college after high school and go get this degree. Those tradesmen are already making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of money when they're by their 20s, you know? And I'm just going out there on a limb here to say there are people around. You just have to find them, you know, even if you didn't go that route, you know? Yeah.
Jordan, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. The movie is Inhabitants. Where can we find it?
You can find it, again, Apple TV, Amazon, Tubi, Plex, Pluto, Roku. There's so many other platforms I'm forgetting. Yeah, and thank you for checking it out. My gosh, awesome. Thank you guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Such a great time talking with Jordan. And the number of people he's met in this sphere, and it is a small business. People think how massive it is, but you know, he's talking about dealing with Kevin Nealon, being his handler during Inhabitants, and really, we didn't even dive into, he did casting for Leatherheads in Chicago, and we briefly talked about going to school in London and being part of a creative agency. And this guy's just a ball of energy and creativity, isn't he?
He's got a lot of energy, and I always think it's really interesting to talk to someone like him about the future of anything creative going on. You know, in previous podcasts, we've talked to people about AI and the impact it might have, and we do all the Terminator 2 jokes that the robots are coming for us. But creatively speaking, it was interesting to talk to Jordan to kind of get his point of view on how it's going to affect movies, how it's going to affect screenwriting, and everything in that whole category.
Yeah, it continues to evolve, and it'll be interesting in a year from now, 2 years from now, what that's going to mean. As we talked about those lower entry-level roles and positions within a crew may not be needed as much as they have in the past because of AI. You know what we didn't even dive into? He mentioned Jason Momoa. And I know the two of you, Mike, you and Jordan, went to school in Iowa. You know, Jason Momoa is an Iowan. You know, he's got roots everywhere, but definitely went to school in Iowa. So that's what, you know, aside from just physical stature, Mike, that's what you and Jason Momoa have together.
We are together about 10 feet tall.
Well, listen, it was so great to talk with Jordan. Please, if you get a chance, watch Inhabitants, and it's going to be great to continue to follow his career. It's great to be back, Mike. It is great to be back.
We're back. Looking forward to the next one.
All right. Thanks, everybody.